Here's good? Yes. Right.
Streaming ready? All right, Coach.
Well, obviously today is signing day, and we're fortunate enough to sign 13 players, new Sun Devils. We're excited about the opportunity of coaching them and them being part of our program. With that being said, there's still some work to be done. We know that, and we'll continue to work at it. And before the season starts, obviously, we'll have a full class of players that we think can improve our roster and create competition at a lot of different positions on our football team. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our two experts. Obviously, Antonio Pierce, our recruiting coordinator, and Al Luginbill, my right-hand man. I've known Al, I don't know how long, Al. We've known each other a long time now. So some things never change, but we're excited about today because we've added some players to our roster that we think are going to help us win football games. Any questions?
Michelle, you get the mic name and affiliation.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, obviously the big name that you get is Johnny Wilson, who flipped from Oregon. What can you say about the state of your program that you get a player of that caliber that had committed to that program and now he's flipped to you?
Well, a lot of hard work behind the scenes. Antonio was involved in that. Our new receiver coach was involved in that. Jaden Daniels was involved in that. So there's a lot of people, and why wouldn't Jaden be involved in that? He was sitting in my office when all this was taking place, and he had a big smile on his face, so it's kind of interesting. But it's an effort by AP and Al and everyone that's working at this deal, our coaches. And it's really about relationships. The more you get involved with recruiting, and there were some prior relationships here. There's no doubt about that, and that always helps you.
Herm, how did you guys, and for all three of you, how did you determine how to decide who you guys were going to pursue based upon immediate need versus development of some of your younger players with the number of scholarships and the constraints that you guys were working within?
Well, you always look at both sides, and I think you guys are learning this, and I think the players have learned this, the guys that have decided to come here. There's always competition here, and you can never get comfortable as a football player in this program because we're going to bring in players. We always say, and this is AP's line, we're going to out-recruit you. The next year, we're going to out-recruit you. It's like pro football. They draft guys, and there's a reason for that, to create competition. And so we tell players that. I can promise you this, all our players that are here, they're watching who's signing here, and they're watching the position they play. And they probably know a little bit about the guy, right? And that's what you want because they know they're part of the family. They're going to come in here with a competitive mindset because that's what we sell about our program when we recruit guys, that you'll have the ability to come in here and compete, to play. And that's the good part about our program right now. And AP can voice his opinion and Al too on that. I think they should chime in on that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious, when you got a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, you want to surround him with talent. And when you look at what we had 2 years ago with N'Keal Harry, a big receiver who can go up there and catch the 50-50 balls, that's Johnny Wilson now. Now we got a guy in the red zone that's a threat. And then obviously Chad Johnson's probably the longest recruit ever in ASU history. He's been as far as being committed. I think it's been almost 2 or 3 years since long as he's been here, he's been committed. So it's finally good to have him signed and be able to talk to him on a daily basis. But when you looked at what we did offensively with the running back as well, we wanted a big back. That's been a feature in our program that we've been trying to accomplish the last 2 years, and we got it now. And Diamante, who's 230 pounds and rocked up, it's obviously a very good class for our offense and a lot of skilled guys to help surround Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I what both coaches said here, I think fits within the plan, and sometimes it's hard to stick to it because you see football players out there, and you gotta stay with what you believe in, and what your profile is. And our football team, I remember Herm and I and AP talking about this. Wait 2 years when we had our first spring ball here and evaluate us on the look of our football team after 2 years and see if it's changed. If it hadn't changed, we're in trouble. And we think it's changed, and again, what's really nice about it is there's quite a few of these young men that will be enrolling in January, over half of them. And boy, you cannot put a value on that, as the Donovan Wests of the world have proven, and Jaden, Joey, that was just crucial in their growth.
Hood Rubino, Devil's Digest. A question to any of the three. You had some immediate needs at offensive line and defensive line, but still held steadfast not to recruit, let alone sign any junior college players. Was the temptation ever there just because of that immediate need, or you just have a plan that you're just really going to stick to as far as high school players?
Well, there's always a plan, and as I said, there's still some work to be done. And it's not all done yet. We're still working on things, but yeah, I think we understand our DNA. We understand what we're trying to build. There's no quick fix to doing this. We're not going down that road. We're going to build it the right way, and we feel like the players that we brought in thus far, and there'll be some more to follow these guys at the end, and you can evaluate it at the end when the rest of them sign. We're hopeful that we're headed in the right direction. This is as Al said and AP has mentioned, this is our second full class of players, and it's starting to develop a DNA that we look at that's important to us. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Michael Caracino, Sports Hangover. AP, you talking about obviously surround Jaden, but the offensive line to piggyback off of what Hood said. The two guys that obviously signed, very dominant. What kind of attributes that they had that worked for you guys?
Well, I think you talk about, you got a local guy in Ben Bray, who obviously is a hometown hero, huge guy. First we see him play an offensive tackle. And Jacob Nunez, guard, interior guy, who could be a mauler, can probably play swingman as well at the right tackle position. But we're just in the third quarter, so we don't want to finish talking about the O-line just yet. Just keep watching in January and February to see what happens.
Doug Haller with The Athletic. Everybody knew that when you guys signed Jaden, that he was very talented. He took that to, once the season started, he took that to a higher level. Was there a point during the recruiting process where you guys realized, okay, like, we need to sell this. We need to really use him as in recruiting to kind of get the guys in place that we need?
Absolutely. And I think he sold it on his own by his ability to play. And if you're a guy on offense, you look at that offense and you go, I want to play with that guy. He's pretty good. And so he sells it, but also he's been involved in the recruiting too. He's been a big part of this. He's gone, he's been at the dinners. He knows a lot of these guys. He's played against them. They know who he is. So he has that ability to bring guys to the table that maybe had other aspirations of going somewhere else, but because of how he played and they looked at our team, how young it was, they go, man, they'll actually let you play. And so that sells it. But he's a big part of it. He's in my office right now. He's in my office with my daughters. His birthday is today. I don't know if you guys knew that. His birthday is today. So he's up there and they're having a birthday party, Yeah. So it's all good right now.
But to piggyback off that a little bit, I think when you watch Jaden in high school, he had that it factor. And that's carried over here. You saw that in spring. You saw that in the fourth quarter. You saw that in 2-minute drills. Guy's calm. He's laughing. He's calming coaches down, players down. Then he goes out there. He's poised. He has a different makeup, a different DNA that a lot of guys don't have at that position.
Antonio, I was struck by you keeping essentially almost all of the commits that you guys had on your list, despite coaching turnover, 2 coordinators, including one the day before signing day. Can you just speak to what that says about your job as a staff, and then also maybe the capability moving forward with your recruiting team?
Well, if you stay within your footprint, you give yourself a chance. When you look at the 13 guys signed, 8 of them being from California. Obviously, that's our home base. That's where I'm from. Coach Edwards as well, Al Luginbill. So regardless of any changes that happen on our staff, the core of our recruitment evaluation is still in front of you at this table. So that wasn't going to affect us either way. I think we do a good job recruiting as a staff. The lead recruiters do a good job of maintaining those relationships regardless of change. whatever happens. And I think when you see what we're building here, it starts with the head coach. And he's a closer. He's a guy when he comes through at the end, all you gotta do is throw him a layup, and he's gonna put it in. He's gonna get it in. I know everybody looks at the age, but he can still dunk. He can finish it at the top, right? So little boost. I didn't say it's a 10-foot court, it might be an 8, but he can get up there still. But I mean, that's what it's about. It's a reflection of our program, and again, as long as the head of our organization and our program is still Herm Edwards, I think we got a shot with anybody in the country. You see what we're doing in California. Versus the rest of the Pac-12, and I think it's obvious, and we got a little bit left. We got a couple more nuggets we can go out there and grab. That this class will probably be 65 to 70% Southern California and Los Angeles and California in general.
But
Yes, you mentioned Chad Johnson. You usually don't see a guy that is that aggressive in trying to recruit other guys once he committed, which he's been committed for a long time. So now that you can talk about him, can you just talk about what he's done to help this class? And then additionally, if you want to make any comments regarding where you're going to go with the DC position.
Let's talk about Chad first. Obviously, he's got a lot of ties here. I know his dad very well, and Marvin coached him, so it's kind of like it's home week for him, And you're right, he's been a big catalyst for us as far as the recruiting process and telling guys that this is where to be. And as AP said, I mean, every time I turn around, he's on an unofficial visit here. I mean, he just shows up. I mean, one day I walked in my office, he was sitting in my office. I said, "How did you get here?" He just smiles, Coach. And he just walks around the building. I mean, just like he's part of the family, and it's great because he does a great job for us. He reminds me a lot. His dad is similar. It's funny, but he's been great for us. He really has. As far as recruiting, as far as the coordinator goes, it'll be handled here shortly. We don't panic around here, as you guys know. We'll be okay. Losing Danny, that was one of those deals that you could anticipate was going to happen, and that's what we want. We want that for coaches around here. We want them to have the ability to become head coaches. We want players to have the ability to go to the NFL if they have the talent and they put the work in. This program's built that way. Well, it's built for coaches too. It's built for coaches to ascend and to become coordinators or to become head coaches. We want that. That's a part of our program, so we're excited for Danny. But there'll be an opportunity for a coordinator to come in here and continue what has been done and to build on what Danny had built here defensively.
Doug Haller, The Athletic. AP, your linebacker room is pretty solid right now. What will Jordan and Caleb add to that room?
You heard what Coach said. We recruit to replace the guys. So Merlin, Butler, Tyler, Cal, Sully, they've been put on notice. It's no different than when I recruited them to the guys that were here. And that's what you want to build, that kind of competition in our room where next man up mentality. You hear that a lot at the pro model and the NFL model. You just don't blink, you keep going. And those guys know that they're coming in and compete. The best thing about those two linebackers and Jordan and Caleb, they'll be here in about a month. They'll be in the weight room down there, banging some iron in about a month from this day to day. So it'll be good to get them around the guys. And again, Merlin needs a little push. Darian Butler needs a little push. It's when you've been successful as a freshman and then you come in as a sophomore and you got the keys to the car and you keep driving, every once in a while you might get a little lax. Well, sometimes you're going to light this little fire underneath them and see how spring ball goes.
Coach, you just mentioned obviously about Danny. I mean, he even said yesterday that the encouragement, obviously you guys rooting for him to get the job. In developing coaches like that, I mean, how much tougher does that make recruiting for you, though?
Well, I think AP mentioned it. There's a core body here, and it's these two men right here, along with myself, and then the staff embodies that. I don't know how AP does it. I really don't. I mean, he is fantastic at what he does. He's always in communication with these guys, and I think the thing that the players realize that regardless of what may change, there's certain things that are not going to change. They can count on that. There's some stability here. With that being said, they like the program. They like what the program presents. And AP said it. Al said it. It's about opportunity. It's about competition. They like that. So I think they trust AP enough. They trust myself enough as coaches that, hey, look, We might have a change or two, but some things not changing, and that's coming in here and having the ability to compete, to play.
Tim Healy, Sun Devil Radio. Herm, AP, when you recruit players and sign them, are all the players coming in with the expectation that they will have a chance to compete, to play immediately next year?
I would think most of them understand that. Now, well, let's make this perfectly clear. If you're a quarterback, I mean, yeah, you're coming in here to compete. But I think we know who the quarterback is, right? Now, you're here to learn, and you're going to have an opportunity. And you know, anything can happen, but you got to prepare yourself to be ready to play. And I think that's what these guys have done. They understand that you're one hit away from going in the game. And our team understands that. And when you go in there, we expect you to perform like a starter. That's the type of program we're trying to build. That you're one hit away from having to go in the game. And we don't know when it's going to be. I mean, Joey proved that against USC. He sat there, you know, hours of practice, hours of not playing. He finally gets into one game, and there's a penalty, and we can't snap the ball, so that doesn't count. He didn't even get a snap, and he has to go back to the bench because Jaden comes back in, right? And then he has to go play against USC. He did pretty good. So I think our guys understand that.
In particular, the skill position players, because of
Right.
the needs there, is there even more of an expectation, AP, that they will play this year?
I think so. When you look at the receiver core, I mean, you got Frank Darby and Brandon Pierce coming back that are seniors. You don't have a junior. Then you got a bunch of redshirt sophomores who haven't played a lot. So this freshman class coming in is expected to compete with those guys and create that synergy energy that we created 2 years ago on defense at the linebacker and DB position. We're expecting that at the running back position and the wide receiver position with those guys. And again, it's about opportunity. You watch the game, it's 80, 90 plays. You just can't play that many snaps. You know, guys are going to rotate. And I mean, look at Ayuk, for example. A year ago today, nobody's really talking about Ayuk. And look at the year he had. So the opportunity there in front of them is up for those guys to go up there and grab it.
Question for AP, Hood Rubino, Devil's Digest. Obviously, there's some doors that did open in Southern California last year for you, but this year, when the class is all said and done, it's probably going to be even more impressive from that region. What, in your opinion, changed as far as the recruiting traction we're able to get this year compared to last year?
Just the focus. You know, when we go on the road, just like we did the other day, brought Coach Edwards out there, and it was about, it was 9 or 10 of us at the state title game. Guess who was on the university there? ASU. Everybody noticed that, from the stands to the people that run CIF to state. I think it was Fox Sports who was running the game. They noticed. You know, they were on TV. You know, we're there on the sideline. Everybody's like, wow, where's everybody else at? So it's just about being consistent, having that presence each and every year. You can never move away from it. For every year we go to Georgia or New Jersey or Ohio or Florida, our home base is Southern California. No hidden agenda about it. It's where the most talent comes from. When this program is rocking and rolling, that's where they come from. The NFL says that. And when this program is winning, it says that. And when you look at our roster out there, heck, in about 2 weeks, it says that. And it's going to say that for the years to come as long as I'm here and Coach Edwards here. And we'll do the best job we can to recruit Arizona. But the matter of fact is, there's some really good players in Southern California, and there's a couple programs in that area that's not doing well. And it's time for us to kind of get on top of them and take advantage of it, because when they are doing well, it's hard. It's hard.
And Al does a great, and Al commented on this, Al does a great job of keeping the pulse of where the players are, too, that fit our DNA and our need. And so Al orchestrates all this as far as mapping it out, where we're going. You know, as AP said, we've been in California. We're always going to recruit here in Arizona, but we've kind of gone out in some other states where people are saying, why are you going in SEC land or whatever? Because there's a couple players that we feel like through contacts of knowing somebody or somebody calling us, we'll venture out there. You know, and is it hard? It's hard, because we're a long way from home. You know, to get a kid to travel a long way is a state away is one thing, but when you're going back east, like the running back, when we showed up there, like, when did we go there? A week ago, Al?
Yeah, a week ago.
Wow. I mean, it was like, we went to the school and they went, wow. You know, we had 4 guys come in there, and they were like, wow. You know, people said, how did you get this guy out of here? But it's about relationships. It really is. And you know, Al does a great job of really telling us this is the area where there's some guys that fit our DNA, and we might need to go in there. And so that's a credit to Al orchestrating all this and figuring out where we need to go.
So I did a follow-up question to that. A lot of ASU fans do ask me, why is ASU recruiting 2-3 time zones away? Is that diverting resources from recruiting the 500-mile the radius? So yeah, Al,
Yeah,
I'd like to address that.
Every one of those has a relationship. It's not just happening. There's some relationships in behind there and behind the scenes, and it wouldn't work without. I'll give an example. The young man that's coming from Tampa, the coach there played for Coach. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Yeah. And so those are the types of things that we talk about when it's relationships. That's his whole business. It's everything. And the young man we just brought aboard, he's got relationships, and it's just made us better in the recruiting and the evaluating. Coach and I can sit here and we can identify all we want, but if you don't have those 10 guys that have the relationships that are the only ones that can talk to those people, that's what people don't realize. I'm not allowed to initiate a phone call. I know that sounds nuts, but it's the rule. So it falls back on our coaches. And I think the biggest thing that we've learned, and believe me, I'll speak for him on this one, we have both learned a lot. This is, and we don't try to fight it. You either adapt or die. And we're not gonna let it die.
Well, AP and Al, to piggyback off that too with the relationships, I mean, I know you said recruiting, obviously Southern California, I mean, it's been no secret for years, the talent that's come out of there, but I mean, as talent has gotten better in Arizona, do you feel that, I mean, helping land those guys from Southern California will actually have that effect on keeping the guys you want from here to stay in state as well?
Yeah, I think that's a choice. You gotta want to be here. We can want you all you want, you gotta want to be here. And there has not been a lack of effort of trying to keep, especially this 2020 class here in state, especially the top 10 or 15 players. We've exhausted every possibility to do everything we could to show them love, commitment, why this is the place for you to be. And if they make a choice to leave, that's their choice, and that's okay. And that's when we need to go elsewhere. Because at the end of the day, we got 25 spots to fill, and we're going to fill those with guys that want to be Sun Devils. If they don't want to be Sun Devils, it's okay. Like we always say, we'll shake your hands and wish you the best of luck, and when we play you, it's on. That's just how it is. That's the nature of the business, and maybe when we start winning, right, and get to the Rose Bowl, and then everybody want to jump on the bandwagon in, but guess what? We're going to get the really, 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 really good players out of Southern California. So you better jump on now because we're watching and we're recruiting. We're not just on 21s. We're on 22s. We're on 23s. We had a big recruiting deal this year where we offered a bunch of 22s. Everybody said, what are you doing? 23, we offered them. So you can't say we weren't the first to offer you. We were. The top 10 to 15 guys in that class we offered. So we've made strides on that and try to get ahead of it. At some point, you got to jump on the train and be ready to roll with us. If you're not, it's okay.
Herm, you mentioned Diamante coming from Big Ten country. That hasn't happened around here a whole lot. What was the connection there? And it seemed like it started early because most people put you guys like a distant fourth in that race.
Yeah, it did. I think my daughters and my wife closed the deal. You know, there's a rule. They can. He had breakfast at our home because we live within a mile from here. He had breakfast, and when the girls were playing Fortnite with him, they won him over, right? But it was just it's just been one of those deals. There was a chemistry there. His mom felt very comfortable here. Felt like this was, if my son's going away this far away from home, I want to know the men that are going to be in his life. And obviously AP, Al, they all felt good. Coach Aguano. They just felt this was a spot, and he was one of those guys that he said, "Coach, I'm coming," and you know, and they say that, and you're going, "Okay," but every week, you know, I'd get a text, and my daughters, you know, they would text him, and it was like, "Okay," you know, they're asking, "When is he coming? When's DeMonte coming?" As he's coming, right? So it's just one of those unique deals, and sometimes it just works out, and it worked out great for us, and I think he's excited. You know, we went back to visit him, obviously. We went into the home, and he was excited. They watch every game. They got Pac-12 Network. They watched all our games. You know, he's part of it. I mean, after every game, he texts me, "Coach, Can't wait to get there. I'm 36 days away or whatever. It's good. So we're excited about him being here.
And again, I think it goes back to what we've been talking about this whole process in our recruiting models, opportunity. Our running back just left.
Yeah.
There's a great opportunity there. There's some guys on our roster that's going to have to compete, and some guys coming in that want to compete. Let the best man win, right?
Jeff, and then hand it to Chris.
Yeah, could you speak about what kind of your main objectives are now looking ahead toward February and also with grad transfer possibilities, and then also whether you still want to get a quarterback? And then when you talk about the lines on both sides to really get this program to elevate it to maybe a New Year's Six type of bowl possibility, where do you think you are right now in terms of building the lines on both sides of the ball?
Well, we needed depth, and we knew that at the offensive line for sure. We needed depth because we didn't have a lot, and we've done that in the last couple of years. We've recruited some offensive linemen. Now all of a sudden, the two freshmen that had to play, I can actually say they're going to be sophomores next year. It's a good feeling. But we have some freshmen behind those guys that are going to be sophomores as well. So we're starting to add some depth to this. But as I said, and we can't get into the certain positions and all that stuff, but I will tell you this, we're not done. Give us a couple weeks here and some other things will unfold and you'll see where we're headed. But we know what we need. There's a plan in place, and you just have to be patient sometimes. And you understand that. But you can never all of a sudden, deviate from your plan and get into this mode of, well, I got to go do this. No, you don't. We'll be fine because we know this. After today, there's some guys that thought they were going somewhere, and guess what? They're not going because that coach called them up and said, we're full. Sorry. Right? So I think you have to leave yourself some wiggle room here, and and like Al said, we learned that the hard way. Like, you got all these scholarships and you got all these guys signing, and all of a sudden at the end you're sitting there going, man, if I had two more, this guy all of a sudden came available. I thought he was going there, right? And kids are calling you because all of a sudden they're left holding the bag like, guess what? They filled up, coach. I got nowhere to go. So I think we'll be okay. I'll just leave it like that. We'll be okay.
Al, question for you. The recruiting process, I'm sure, is quite different than your earlier stints at ASU, and especially with the early signing period and how sped up that recruiting has become in recent years. From an evaluation standpoint, what are the potential advantages or challenges, drawbacks associated with that, and how well do you guys think that you've handled that so far?
Being here 2 years, we're finally not behind. We are way ahead on 21s. We're into 22s. We didn't have that option the first couple times around, but now we're into a cycle, and the cycle will just perpetuate itself. Again, what Coach says it best: don't deviate from your plan or your profile. The exception cannot become the rule, and so the biggest thing that I think happens here is that we're all on the same page. The direction comes from the head coach, but we execute and we keep him notified of what he needs to do because he's a busy man. And I think the process, and sometimes I hate that term or culture, whatever you want to call it. You got to stay with it. I hope that answers your question.
And just to follow up, I'm sure that you used to be able to watch senior film before offering, taking commitments, and now just with junior film, just can you speak to the
Yes.
timing of everything?
Yes, the offer is a unique little tool out there. You also have learned a lot about that. There's universities out there that offer 300 or 400 kids for 25 scholarships. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out somebody's getting dropped. It's not going to happen. What we have done is we've created what we feel is a happy medium. And if we truly believe a young man can play, we're going to offer him early with caveats. And the caveats are going to be very, very upfront. And if they don't meet the caveats, it's a two-way street. And Coach does a great job of that. You know, this isn't a one-way street. They think it is, but it's not. And ultimately, he just explained it today. There's some unhappy young men out there right now that have been led in a direction all the way up till last night or today. And so maybe they fit somewhere for somebody else. And that's how I would answer that.
Then I'll just piggyback real quick on the evaluation, because you look at us three, but there's about 20 or so young volunteers and guys that get paid either nothing or nickels and dimes to break down hours and hours and hours and hours of film before it even gets to me, Al, or Coach Edwards. And that's what's helped us build. You was watching ESPN earlier, and they were just talking about the resources that go into recruiting and evaluation, and kind of weeding out the fat and the guys that could play or not play. And sometimes some guy might fall through the crack, and you got to go back and you got to rewatch them. And it's a process that just it constantly goes over. But you can't give enough credit to those young guys that we have in that room up there that come, and I don't even know where they come from or where they at in school. I don't know. I just pop up.
Sometimes they don't either.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, they come, they got this information, and they're very valuable to our process, and they make our jobs easier as coaches, recruiting coordinator, director of personnel, and the head coach, to make the evaluations and offer and the process much smoother for us, and to really dial in on the guys that fit our DNA and fit into our program.
To Coach's benefit there, many of you know the name Fred Gamage. Freddie was with us for less than 18 months and makes a move to the NFL that's almost unheard of in the player personnel business. Usually you start at the very bottom, it's entry level, and you move up. He went in at about 6 rungs up the pole, didn't he, Coach?
He did. Good friend who kind of works in that organization,
yeah,
too.
Yeah. But our point is that wasn't the only offer he had at that time. So, again, going back to coaches, young men that are volunteering, and Freddie had volunteered and then gotten paid. But the end result was he's where he wants to be. Not where he will be, but where he wants to be right now.
Yeah, I had a couple questions, and one was on Jordan Banks, because from everything I've seen, he's a very special player that probably isn't getting the usual due that he would get because there's another linebacker out there sucking up some attention. But I was just wondering if you could just speak to what you're getting in him specifically.
Well, I think that happened 2 years ago with Merlin Robertson. When we recruited him, there was a couple guys in Southern California and in California that were hired, recruited, and got a little bit more accolades out of high school. And Merlin did what he did as a freshman and has been a 2-year starter for us. I think Jordan Banks is in that same mold. I've seen Jordan since he was in 8th grade, obviously. He's a kid that was on the D-line, and all of a sudden he goes to a school that I was very familiar with in Norbonne, and we offered him, and he had his top 4. He had 4 schools and it wasn't ASU, wasn't in him. I kind of laughed, and I told Coach Edwards, I said, we'll stay in that fight, we'll be fine. And then, you know how it is, you go by the school one day and get a little nudge, and then next thing you know, you got one of the top linebackers in the country come to your program. So he's going to bring a lot of things to our program. He's a leader, he's a captain, he loves ball, he talks ball, he sleeps ball, he's all ball. And in our room, he is what I call one of those guys when I first got here, a guy that plays with ill intent. He will challenge the other guys in our room. And that's what you want each and every year, the competition level. But not even that, he makes our team better. He's a winner. He's been on championship programs, comes from a good family and background, dealt with adversity. So everything you kind of look for in a linebacker and a guy that's going to be probably somebody down the road that's going to lead your team and possibly be one of the main guys on your team, that's what he is.
And then the other one is, these kids don't watch a lot of college football. I think people think they do, but they're doing other stuff. And so who is the ambassador for this program right now? When you're going out talking about recruiting, do you lead with N'Keal Harry? Is it Eno? Is it what Jaden's doing on the team now? Like, who's the name they recognize? What pops for them?
Hold on, Coach.
Okay, good.
It's Herm Edwards. Did you not realize the ambassador, the GM, the owner? What are you talking about? Like, it starts there, it stops there. Everybody else, we're tentacles of Coach Edwards.
Yeah.
Our players, our staff, our players are the guys that work in the cafeteria, you guys. I mean, this program is going the way the direction it's going because of Coach Edwards. Don't ever forget that. And I know Coach is going to give the credit to the players, but he's that calming presence. Because I'm the polar opposite of Coach. I'm the guy that's probably here. Coach kind of calm me down. He walks me, looks at me like, all right, I walk the other way. I come back and we meet up. But he is the tone setter for our program. That's the ambassador. Coach can say something else, and I'm sorry, Coach, but that's the ambassador of our program. And again, the players are a reflection, and the coach is a reflection of Coach Herm Edwards.
Well, I would say this: it's a collective effort. Head coaches always get a little bit too much credit. You have to have good people that you trust, and I think the thing that the guys that work here understand this is that you're going to be your own man, and I'm going to let you explore and live up to your potential, as long as we do it the right way. That's all I care about. I don't micromanage anybody. Al or AP, they always keep me abreast of what's going on, but I don't look over my shoulders and say, AP's walking to practice. I mean, I have not seen him walk to a practice yet since I've been here for 2 years, that he's not on 2 phones. And he's, I don't ask any questions. I just, okay, and Al calls me in. He says, I got to keep you up to breast with what's going on, up to date. I got it, and I get it from Al. I talk to AP, and so, they're their own men, but we do it the right way. We're going to do things the right way around here. We always do the right things, and we're going to do it the right way. We're going to live within the rules and the restrictions we have, but I tell you what, I got a lot of help. One man can't do this, but you got to trust people. You got to put them in a position where they can be successful and trust them, and not look over their shoulder. And I'm going to help them. And anytime they ask for me, AP will tell me. He told me last week, he said, Coach, you got to go now. We're getting ready to go on the road. I told my wife, I'll see you maybe in a month, because I don't know where I'm going with AP, but I'm going. And I just get on the plane and go. And they pick me up and in the car, and where are we going? I just sit in the back. I said, okay, let's go. And we just go, and that's what we do. And I have a lot of fun doing it. I really do. It's unbelievable, because he is well connected. Al's well connected. Young man we just hired, Prentice. Can't say enough about him now. I mean, he's kind of like AP. So now I got 2 of them, right? That's hard to keep up with for me now, because they're always at me. Coach, I got this. Oh, okay. And then our coaches enjoy recruiting. It's competition. It's friendly competition. And that's what makes it so lively for me, is that they like this. I mean, they're all in. It's not like halfway in. They're into this. And they're very competitive. I mean, very competitive. They don't want any school to beat us out of a recruit. They don't. And someone else calls. They are so competitive. They come in my office, Coach, I got this. Okay, just calm down. But that's what it is, and it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun for me.
AP, kind of a 2-part question, or if either one of you guys. Everybody's trying to stockpile defensive linemen, get more imposing at the point of attack, pass rush, right? So Norman Lott and Joe Moore, what do they add? And then also, where are you guys at with Steph Wright and Amiri Johnson and other guys kind of building into what you want to be up front?
Yeah, I'll just talk about those 2 guys. Omar Lott's a guy who can play probably all 3 positions. I mean, he's got the mass to play inside as a nose tackle or a shade and 3 technique, and he has a little twitch to him to play at the defensive end position. So he gives us a versatility to do anything we want to do up front. Joe Moore, I think he's that guy we're looking for to come off the edge. Obviously, this year, getting to the quarterback was a problem at times for us, and we need guys that can turn the corner and beat a tackle, get that one-on-one matchup on a tight end and win. So when you look at that, they add to what I'm about to talk about next with Stephon Wright. Stephon was a guy who came in and had shoulder surgery, missed the end of his senior season, didn't get the rehab that he quite needed when he was away until he got here. So we didn't have the true Stephon Wright for the first 2 months. Had to get back in shape. You'll see him again in the bowl game in a couple of weeks, and I think he's going to do a great job because he's got himself into shape. And Amiri Johnson, since he's been here, is crazy. He's gained 25 pounds. We called him Bambi when he first got here. He ain't Bambi no more. He's almost he's a little deer now. He's a little deer. He ain't got a little thing, the elks. But he's going to be all right. He's going to be all right. And then when you look at our up front, and I'm a linebacker, because I'm always worried about that, because that's the guys in front of our linebackers, is that we got the height, we got the size, we got guys that can hold off, we got some twitch to us. So what we're building, again, from ground up with that D-line is a group that's very versatile, but also has a little bit of our DNA in it. They're nasty, they're twitchy, and they come with a certain prickness to them. And when you put that amongst with our linebackers and the speed in our secondary, I think we're building what we want defensively as a whole.
For spring ball too, are you going to keep the same calendar?
Yeah, we're gonna start at the end of May. Excuse me, at the end of February. So we're good. We're good. You guys are early. We'll get it out of the way for you. By March, we'll be done. You guys can go on vacation. Don't have to worry about us anymore. We'll be lifting weights. You won't see us again until training. I know you guys, when you guys play on vacation, I call it who you guys work for. But yeah, we're gonna start February. Same kind of schedule, basically. Right now, in my mind, we're going on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then we're going to be off on Thursday, and then we'll practice Friday and Saturday night again. You know, so we can get the high school coaches, any families that want to come over from California can come over and spend a weekend with their kids. So that's important to us. It'll be 5 weeks. I want to say they'll get spring break. They get a spring break in there. So we've got it pretty mapped out already. As you kind of know, I'm pretty organized. I've got training camp mapped out too, but I won't get into that yet. We'll deal with the spring first, but it's same time. Yeah, players like it that way too. And it's good for because we bring in so many young guys that they're going to work with Joe after just weights and running, and the guys get bigger and stronger without being disrupted with having to practice football. So that's a good thing for us.
Anyone else?
Good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.